Hello, wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe, the podcast bringing together the leading and brightest minds in the world of customer management from across Europe. I'm Simon Hall, your host and industry analyst at CCW Europe, and today I'm delighted to welcome to the sofa Pierluigi Bosco, the global B2C CX lead at Shell. Pierluigi, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming on. As I said, really excited to dive into what you're doing at Shell. But let's begin with some intros. And I'd like to start by mentioning the recent news that you are now officially a British citizen. So congratulations, an incredible life milestone for you. So just talk us through your journey. How did you move from studying in your native Italy to working as the global B2C CX lead at Shell in London?
Yeah, thanks, Simon. First of all, thank you for the British citizenship. I think it's been a big milestone for me. I think I always make this joke that people say, okay, now you're 50% Italian and 50% British. That doesn't make me lose 50% of the Italian side. Probably I'm making, obviously, I've been 11 years in this country. I owe a lot to UK. But yeah, so I think for me was very important milestones. My studies. I'm from Italy, from Naples. I studied my economics and financial analysis in the university in Naples, between Naples and Paris. Then I did some, before moving into marketing, most of my career has been into the marketing. I tried few things. I've been working for the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Canada, in Montreal. I worked as auditor, business consultant for my family company, and then I decided I had the opportunity to move to Shell as an intern back in 2009. And I fell in love with the marketing, especially in the loyalty and digital marketing space. So most of my career has been understanding customer. Data, behavior, and try to find solutions to drive business value. At the moment, I lead the B2C customer experience within our customer operation team in Shell globally. We cover 28 markets, and basically I look after the process, data, and system for our customer operations team and try to deliver the best customer experience as well as the best employee experience, which we'll talk about probably more later. But for me, it's very important to make sure that the people that will actually speak with our customers is our operations team, and they need to have a good experience as well as our customer.
Yeah, well, fantastic stuff. And let's unpack your role at Shell in a bit more detail, because it is a fascinating one. When most people look at the operating model of Shell, they will typically think Shell Energy for businesses and homes, Shell Energy for the aviation sector, Shell Commercial Fuel, Shell Fleet Solutions, etc. Rarely will the retail business be top of mind, but it is understatedly massive. I was reading on the Shell website that you have over 45,000 service stations across close to 80 markets, which equates to more sites than the likes of McDonald's and Starbucks, and incredibly makes Shell the single largest retail business in the world. So with all that said, how do you go about shaping your CX strategy?
Yeah, don't forget the fact that Shell is also have 55,000 EV charging points. So this is a growing business, a growing reality for the mobility business in general. We have 33 million customers every day and 500,000 frontline staff. Yeah, so it's huge operation. So and obviously it's not that easy.
Sure.
The customer experience, but when you look at how do we want to Shell customer expectation towards brand like Shell is a $50+ billion brand is always high standard. Yeah, so they compare us to the Amazon of this world, to the and keeping up with that expectation is important. We want to also be the best in market customer experience, but as I said, focusing also from how we drive that to employee satisfaction, that will drive customer experience as well. By leveraging, obviously, so for me, this is ultimately is how we make sure that our customer have a best experience, and we can help them where and when they need us by leveraging as much as possible technology and data to achieve their goal.
Yeah, well, we'll pick up on that thread of conversation in a little while, but I just want to explore the mobility retail sector in a bit more detail. And there are so many, I don't know, sort of adjacent business opportunities for Shell to tap into at the moment, right? So you have postal services, click and collect services, banking services, pharmacy services, drive-through services. You know, the list is long. And then, as you mentioned, you have the rise of electric vehicles, which is starting to put a dent in fuel consumption levels, yet simultaneously is opening, you know, value streams around on-the-go charging. So how are you managing all that disruption and, you know, ensuring that Shell is always ahead of the CX innovation curve?
Yeah, for me, innovation is something that will always be part of any business. So there's no business that can survive without innovate. Yeah, so that's and innovation is could be from product, as you said. You know, in the mobility space, EV is a reality more than innovation. It used to be innovation. Shell has been always on the forefront of in the EV space. As I said, we now are sizable business of 5,000 charging point. But innovation is not, so how you innovate, you can to a product, to process, to branding, to creativity and technology. For me, when we talk about innovation, it's not necessarily the technology, only the technology part. The risk is where sometimes you use the technology as a goal instead of the tool to get to innovate and drive business value. And I can give you an example in my responsibilities when we launched in UK our chatbot. Yeah, so a few years ago, obviously, chatbot is not a new thing. Yeah, so and we launched it in the UK actually a few years ago. I think it was 2021. But we launched it because we should have a chatbot, not really looking at okay, what's the business goal we're trying to solve, or at least looking through okay, what is the customer experience, what is the understanding really the customer need behind, and then using the chatbot as a tool. The outcome is we have to decommission after a few months. And you know, it's not the only bad experience with chatbot you can see in the market. I think you know every one of us has experienced bad experience with interaction with chatbot. But that's demonstrate for me what innovation should be, what technology should be. The technology needs to start. What is your business problem? What is the customer experience you want to give from there? And and then you can decide what is the right technology that you should use to solve that business outcome.
So, and as Shell continues to grow and expand, obviously complexity comes into it. It means dealing with more consumer realities, meeting different consumer behaviors, meeting new consumer needs. So you mentioned the chatbot just a moment ago, but what are some other sort of tools or solutions that you've tapped into or are leaning on to start to combat some of those challenges?
Yeah, funny enough, you say exactly a situation where I was we had a couple of years ago when we started this digital transformation journey. We realized that as I said, in the customer care space, where the complexity of our CVPs in the market were more complex. So our loyalty program is much more digitalized, and we are growing our convenience retailing business, our EV proposition. Then you have obviously customer that may be B2B, B2B2C nowadays. And we realized that the complexity of the inquiries were increasing. The number of inquiries were increasing. The way we're serving customer were through multi-channel, so customer can talk to multiple channel, but we didn't have any filter to it, or we didn't have really a strategy on how to eliminate some of the contact that so improving our self-serve capabilities. So we've been looking at, okay, why really customer contact? What are the reasons for contacting us? What is the and apply or different strategies to different type of inquiries. Yeah. So for example, we had huge amount, I think was 15% of our inquiries was people just calling the wrong number within Shell. Yeah. And we are so our team the basic stuff, but also type of activity that our team didn't want to do it. Yeah? So it's not add value for them to pick up the phone and say, sorry, I'll pass you to the wrong to a different colleague department. So then we said, look, okay, how we make sure that this is clear for the customer to contact, how we eliminate some. So how we and there's this I always said if you have a sink and a leaking sink, then you have two options: either to make a bigger hole on the back or try to fix the water coming in the sink, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the first thing. So how we remove some of the inquiries we don't want to have in our team through elimination, to making better designing customer journeys, which channel we want to serve what customer, how is improve our self-serve, and as well as the third thing is how we leverage technology like artificial intelligence or AI for that specific goal. Yeah. So as I said before, first you need to understand the customer, then understand what your business goal, what's the KPI you're looking to achieve, and then the solutions was, in our case now we're launching the market. We're expanding our conversational AI capability in this space.
Okay, well, let's dive a bit deeper into your conversational AI use case, because for all the chatter around AI and its possibilities, there's still a great deal of uncertainty around how to implement it effectively. So if we can rewind back to the beginning of your journey with this technology, how did you approach the task of building buy-in and aligning all the relevant stakeholders around the vision and the roadmap of this digital transformation?
Yeah, it took a lot of time. Yeah. I mean, when we start talking about conversational AI in our department, it was probably where even before when ChatGPT was starting.
Oh yeah. Off the back of your failed chatbot experience, right? Yeah, how to do it properly.
Yeah, but we realized that there was a problem of this complexity growing and number and unless so as much as you can, you have two options: either you reduce you reduce the complexity, you reduce the volumes, or increase the teams, or increase your cost, and so that you need to always balance. What is the investment versus the return, right?
Yep.
When we at the beginning, there was a bit of a so whenever you start to implement something new in a big organization, you need to align all the stars and create a story. But ultimately, you need to create that business case. Yeah?
Yep.
So what we're trying to achieve, what is the cost, what is your long term? So then plans and what's the value you're trying to solve. In customer experience, it's always difficult to put a dollar value into
Sure.
Your equation, because it's always difficult to measure how you measure the incremental value that the better experience works. That was probably one of the learning and the complexity of the buy-in. Easier probably to look into the efficiency side. Yeah. But I think the storyline was quite strong, and to say we have this amount of inquiries that are coming in. Yeah. So if you don't do anything, so the do nothing scenario is you need to increase your cost by X.
Sure.
And then through elimination, through self-serve, digitization or digitalization of some of the processes and introducing artificial intelligence, you can flatten that curve. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was the kind of the trying to get the buy-in first,
Yeah.
and then obviously then after that you need to start. Okay, what is available in the market? And that was more the complex part. Was okay, what once our senior stakeholder, okay, this is something that sounds interesting. So
Yeah.
what are we gonna do next?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, we'll touch upon vendor selection in a minute, but I just want to touch on the workforce management piece first. A digital transformation project like this is also very much a people transformation project. So how did you go about preparing the teams that will be working closest with this technology and addressing any concerns that they may have around implementation?
I must say that when we started, my word is that let's keep it among just few people. Yeah. So
A few people.
yeah. Initially, it's okay. People may be scared about, I may lose my job if AI comes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be more wrong. When we started sharing with the team, they were very excited. We have a big, young team, and they realized that AI is not something that's coming necessarily to take their job, but to make it easier. Yeah. And if you don't embrace the technology and the innovation, you probably become obsolete very soon. Yeah. So it's actually there was a how is it called, haha moment. Says okay, so then probably, and then that was all part of the journey. So most of it was collaboration. Getting so the people that knows how to talk to our customer, what our customer problem is, are those that they actually talk with customers. It's not me in the office. It's actually the people that on the phone, on the chat that answer customers. So they are the people that helped us most to the design our new piece of technology and our strategy.
Mm-hmm. So picking up on what you began talking about before, and I think this could be worthy of a podcast in itself, and that is vendor selection. Naturally, choosing and embedding the right technology partner is critical for any digital transformation project, and there are so many things to consider, guidelines, setting crystal clear objectives and what have you. So can you walk us through your hunt for the right vendor?
Yeah, it's been a long journey, and for me it was a lot of learning. Yeah, so we are in a space where when we started we knew very little. So apart from using ChatGPT, and AI is not a new technology; it's there from 20 years, but really became mainstream in the last maximum 5 years, not even 3. Yeah, so when we started as a big company. And I think in terms of vendor, the market is mainly led by a huge amount of small companies that are, some of them very, very good.
Yeah.
But for us, it's okay. We need to check what do we need, because all of them does something different.
Yeah.
And there is an overlap maybe of 30, 40, 50% between different. So we really need to start from what the business goals were and what we're trying to achieve. And the reality is that even if you know the business goals, throughout the process of vendor selection, that help us to understand, okay, do we need to build this piece of technology? Do we need to buy? Do we need to... so that's how this will these different pieces of the puzzle will play a role in our ecosystem. How this piece of technology will integrate with our CRM system, how it integrate with our loyalty system. So and as you can imagine, Shell has multiple technologies, some legacy technologies, some new. So that was part of. So we started with probably, I think, looking at 500 different vendors.
Wow.
Then and it was just a desk research, so what they do and some. Then we I think we interviewed for 35, if I remember well. Then we did a kind of 3 days hackathon to really understand and practice what they do. Then we reduced to 16, and we did actually we start playing with the technology. Then we went to 5, then 3, and then finally select our vendor. And again, probably that was good because allow us to learn on the go.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to our mission, knowing where we want to achieve, but what are the tools you need to bring to that goal? We're not clear. And at one point, is it two tools that work together? Is it and that was part of the learning curve, obviously. And the other thing is you need to also have a good team with you, making sure that you have the business side, you have the customer experience side, you have IT. Luckily, we have a very good team, Michelle, of artificial intelligence team that give us a huge help on understanding strategically what we want to build, what we want to buy in the market. So that was I think was 9 to 12 months process.
The whole process.
But as I said, it's a learning journey. So we were expecting to quite longer than usual outsourcing.
Yeah. And when you got down to the last sort of 3 to 5, how did you narrow it down to 1? What were your criteria?
I think when we get to the last 3, well, also the last 5, so everybody who can say could do the job. So there are all the criteria for architecture from pricing models. So another thing was very difficult to compare pricing model. Most of company they do very different pricing models. As I said, these are more or less scale up or startup or even bigger company, but they have their own pricing. So comparing like for like was one complexity.
Yeah.
I think when we get to the last 2, I think we were really like head to head. It felt like when you're in a last sprint of a race and you have the person that put the head. There at the end up, what is the company you feel like more culturally you want to work with? So it becomes more chemistry with who you think you do in the process and put more effort. So they really want to work with us. But this is also a long-term partnership, so you need to really want to work to stop. So culturally, did they fit with Shell? Shell is also a big company. Sometimes it's not that easy to work with, especially in the IT space where companies always work in innovation, engineering companies. So so you need to understand culturally fits, and then it's people that you want to spend 8 hours a day for in coming years.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. So buying secured, workforce prepped, vendor selected. How do you launch? Because with this type of technology, Shell is an obvious target for online consumers looking to create a headline, and there have been many stories recently about how not to roll out a chatbot, essentially. So what actions have you taken to A, safeguard Shell or safeguard the Shell brand against common pitfalls, and B, ensure that the brand experience is a positive, meaningful one for consumers?
So I can say what we have done and also what us should have done better.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
I think that's the way I would say. So in Shell, obviously, whatever you launch customer-facing technology, there is a lot of controls, and so there's obviously, and I guess there are standard controls for big companies like risk management. You have our brand team that will help us. So first of all, for me, was making sure that all the experts, so we're launching something new for Shell, customer-facing, for the first time in Shell history, very high risk in terms of exposure, because we had to make sure that all the experts in any department were involved and gave us their sign off. And this is for more from standards and guidelines perspective. Yeah. Then there is also how we mitigate the risk from implementation perspective. So and the way we approach it, we need to have a clear business goals in terms of, launching new technology is always expensive. So you need to keep the books in order, so making sure that you launch somewhere that drives value, at the same time contain the risks. So you launch small in one market, in a small channel, and then you, with a few use cases, then launch and then step up a little bit, add another use cases, change market. So, but always go learning and making sure sometimes we call it hypercare. But in one of the meetings recently, our vendor says this is not hypercare; it's intensive care. So you literally are 24/7 looking at what the customers say, what the bot says.
You've got to be.
Yeah, and correct if something, and you have the correction in terms of cosmetics, like I want to have the logo there and not there, but other things we need to monitor over time in different languages. So we're planning to have that technology in multiple languages and markets. So so for me the learning was so I said at the beginning, I want to say what it did well and what it probably could have done better is involving probably the expert bit earlier in the process.
Okay.
So that's, I think, could have speed up a little bit the process. The other thing I would say is that with artificial intelligence, with conversational AI, when we start talking about it in the organization, was something so new that people didn't know. But the reality, throughout this process, ChatGPT became mainstream, and you have all your senior leaders in the organization that they're using it and they think, this is easy, we should have it, and see the business value, because you see that you talk with the AI and they respond and so on. So they may become impatient, and what I would say is that the most important thing is to plan and give it time to implement. Give it enough time to learn, and again, starts very small and then grow, because the risk on stake is much higher. So we have a $50 billion brand that we need to preserve. I think that's the learning as well as the don't rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is this technology set up? What is it connected to in the back end?
Well, what is connected today? They plan to connect. Obviously, the technology should be connected to all our CRM systems and loyalty systems, and and by really depends on the use cases. So, as I said at the beginning, you start from the customer back. So, what customers is contacting us for, and what is meant to respond by themselves. But there are also some cases where we really think that this is a human should respond. So where we really need to build empathy into the conversation. Some customers have also had bad experience in the past with bots, and they want to speak with someone. And in particular cases such as relative to health and safety or complaints, or there are things that needs to be dealt by a human. I think that's important to understand. First, what's the use cases. Then, when you know what use cases should be dealt by the AI, then you can say, okay, what is the backend connection? But I would say normally, obviously, your CRM systems. So we're understanding what customer is and the background and why they're contacting us. And any transactional database that may be relevant for the use cases.
Well, you teed up my next question there, which is around personalization and the human element. How are you building that empathy into the conversational workflow and then ensuring like a seamless transition to an agent when human intervention is required?
I think this comes from the design flow. So so as I said, you need to deep dive into what is your use cases, and what is your conversation flow, and then having that human critics. Okay, if you're a customer, would you like to up to a certain level to still talking with a bot, or in which cases you really would like to speak with a human. Yes, I think the human intervention will never be replaced, because there are cases where you really want to speak with someone, and the worst experience where you are a customer is speak with a bot. You want to speak with a human, and then you don't manage to.
Yep.
Or when you do speak with a human, then you have to repeat again what we were talking before. So this is what we're trying to achieve, to avoid. Yeah? Yeah. So making sure that you can talk with a human, so the first interaction will always be with the AI, but then when this is handed over to an agent, the agent already have your summary of your conversation, and potentially the next best action to solve your problem, your inquiries as fast as possible.
And that's all built into the same tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But we're building it. So.
Okay.
So use case at the moment we launched first is the simple one, more knowledge based. Yeah. But the idea is to then simplify also the work. As I said at the beginning, for me the most important thing is simplify the work of our agent, so they don't need to use multiple tools and review ask repetitive question. What they are happy to do is to solve the case, having the glory of the fact that solve the case, the customer is happy, thumbs up, or our CSI score individually as an agent. They don't need to ask what's your name, what's your loyalty card number. So these are things repetitively can be done by machine, but the fact that they help the customer to solve the problem, the complex problem, is where they get more gratitude at the end.
Yeah, and the question on everyone's lips, I think, are you able to share any early results that you've achieved with this?
Yeah, we have launched in Turkey 6 days ago. Yeah, so it's very, very early. So I would say it's too early to celebrate, but the initial results are fairly good. I think we were expecting the ticket managed by the AI was roughly half of what we are seeing. We're expecting, so compared to the previous bot experience, we were expecting a CSI score fairly low. Thinking we will launch something that is should not be a disaster, but let's build it on, and then we'll go to where we are. And actually, the start of the first 6 days shows that CSAT score is fairly high, still below if compared to the human intervention, but the gap is very small.
Okay, and we're still at the very early stages with your ambitions with this digital transition, as you've just mentioned. But looking back on everything you've accomplished, what would you say were the biggest roadblocks you encountered, and how did you overcome them?
I think as I said before, so the AI, conversational AI, touch so many different departments. Yeah. So it shouldn't be a siloed product. Should touch multiple departments, touch marketing, touches customer operation, touches brand, technology. If a company is big enough to have your own large language model teams, and it touch the finance, and so I think from one side, the good side of this is that you have a lot of people helping you. The roadblock is the fact that you have a lot of people helping you. And all of them have a right to say things, and rightly so. But that means that from the other side, you need to make sure that you plan ahead. You're not impatient. And as people, when you start a project such big exposure, may be impatient to launch. And I think that was a bit of a wake-up call for us. Okay, we were saying that the technology is the technology itself is mature. Yeah, so it's not a. If we're having the same podcast, the same conversation, probably 2 years ago, I would say
wasn't quite there.
Yeah,
Wasn't really. Yeah.
I think that's the amount of innovation, progress has been done in this space so fast that now the technology was not the main problem. The main problem was understanding which technology you need, but also how you bring a huge amount of people that they are not necessarily naturally working together on this journey.
And just following up from that, what tips and best practices can you share with your peers in the industry around leading such a large digital transformation? Are there any key moments in the journey that require that savvy leadership?
I think for me, one of the most important part is the business case development. So making sure that you don't build the business case in silo and then you bring it to at the later stage, making sure that this is a us project, it's not a me project. And there's a value for the organization. So because obviously when every department, every people is we need to create value for the organization, and as much as AI can be seen as a buzzword, but can deliver really value to the so suggestion to my peers. So making sure that when you build your case, your case for change is clear and it's a pain that you try to solve, not for you or your team, but for wider team. So everyone should be involved, should see, okay, this is really, this is help me as well. And then there is a business value. That's the first thing. Second, I would say that bring the expert. So not in this space, few people are expert because it's something new. So as much as people are involved, the better it is because they bring a different angle to the table. Solution architects, IT, but you have also the branding team, the digital team, understanding what other projects are happening that there may be a dependency on this. And listen your customer and agents on what the actual experience not only what the as-is experience, but the to-be experience should be to solve the customer problem.
Okay, great. Sound advice indeed. And last question to bring us home then, Pierluigi. And if we park the evolution of AI aside for a moment, what are some other CX trends that you see coming to the fore over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think AI will be, I think it still will be, if you look at just 12 months, AI would be still the case. So the evolution of it, and how you build the human and the empathy into AI, I think that's the most important thing. I think customer, even in the more longer term, customer are more used to talk to bots. But I think that the human component is very important. So how we then go back to the basic, or how you then build in an efficient way the human into the brand, and the brand interaction by streamlining processes and so making in an efficient way. But then how we then I think build that empathy into, so having the seamless balance between human and AI. I think that will be key in the medium short term. Then if you want to do like a more scientific, science fiction type of thing, then you can okay, now Apple have launched the glasses, and what augmented reality play a role.
Metaverse, that kind of thing. You think that's going to take off again?
No, I don't think metaverse, but if you have more and more companies like the Meta glasses or the Apple virtual reality, what role 6 will play there if they go. But I think that is a big question mark. I think if you need to be more grounded, I think it's just making sure that the more we implement artificial intelligence, AI into our interactions, how we don't forget about we're talking to human for human problem, and sometimes they want to talk with a person.
Great way to finish. Pierluigi, thank you so much. Hopefully, can get you back on down the line, and we can talk about some of the results when your technology is more mature.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So that brings to a close this episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe. But please do stick around on the CCW Europe website and social media channels, where you can find so much great content related to customer management and the customer experience. Thank you so much again to Pierluigi for joining me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.